It's a great day to have a great day. Canada 3-0 at the World Juniors. Hey, it's Cody Jansen here coming to you live, World Hockey Report. We're on 12-ounce Sports, Zingo TV, channel 761. What is going on? It's a beautiful Wednesday outside. The sun's shining. We got hockey on TV all day yet again. Best time of the year. I hope you're loving the tournament because we are for sure. Be sure to go check out mybookie.ag, promo code 12OZ Sports. They're going to match your deposit up to $1,000. Let's snap it over to Saskatchewan. Adam Ermintrout with me as always. Buddy, say what's up.
What's up, man? A lot of hockey being played.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I mean, you wake up, you can kind of get your day set a little bit, and bam, at noon, you got hockey all the way till about 10 o'clock at night, at least for us in Alberta here. I know you're in a different time zone, as is James, but I'm loving it. I mean, 3 games a day. I can't wait till that quarterfinal day. 4 games on that. I think it's a Monday, or just, I don't even know what day it is, actually. Why even talk? But we get 4 games in a day. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, no, I think the tournament kind of started today. I'd say you got Switzerland and Germany playing for probably 4th in the group, and then Russia and Sweden. Obviously, always a big game. And then tomorrow, what is it? States and Sweden, and Canada and Finland. So, I mean, it's all systems go now.
Well, I mean, how pissed off would you be if like Slovakia upsets Finland today and tomorrow's game's meaningless? That would suck. Like all I want is for a good Canadian game. That's all I hope for in the tournament. I hope they play USA. I hope they play Sweden. I hope they play Russia. I that's all I care. And I get it. It's awesome to see Canada win, but I just like good hockey. I mean, I'm a fan of hockey, not a team.
Yeah, I think that's how I am too. Obviously, we're cheering for Canada. We're Canadian, obviously, but I mean, all of these, what is it? 10-0, 16-2, 16-1. I mean, the Slovakia game was a terrible game of hockey, but at least it was 3-1 or whatever.
And that was the thing is, they were kind of one mistake or one close play away from, having it a totally different game. I mean, that was 1-0 until what, like 5 minutes left or 10 minutes left in the game? You're one
5.
weird bounce away from going to overtime potentially.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the game in Vancouver a couple of years ago where Canada was playing Finland, and they kind of were taking over a bit and went into overtime. Comtois missed the penalty shot. Dobson breaks his stick, and they go back the other way and score. It's just like one of those balances when you're kind of outplaying them. It could be the tournament.
Mikey DiPietro in net right there. Shout out Vancouver Canucks fans. You're a riot, and we will get into that. We're also going to get into some of the tournament format. I should mention we got Derek O'Brien, IIHF writer. Guy's done it all. He's going to be coming on the show here in about, let's say, 10, 15 minutes time. We're going to add him on, talk some World Juniors, Czech Republic. Guy spent a lot of time overseas in Prague. He's got a lot of hockey knowledge. We're going to pick his brain, and then we'll finish it up. There's a lot of NHL news, a lot of stuff that we definitely could talk about, but everyone knows World Juniors, the big time. Finally, we got a winner for WHR. First goal. Finally. Jordan, I believe kid's name. He's at a PA.
He was pumped about it too. He mentioned.
Yeah,
he
no,
messaged us. Yeah.
He's the first one. He knew it too. It was like Tomasino that scored too. He's the only one. We got about 1 million people picking McMichael, Byfield. I can't remember. There was a few others. Cousins gets picked all the time. They haven't opened the scoring. It was wild. Like Gooley gets the first one, and then what's his name? Yeah, Spence got the opener in the second game. So that was pretty funny there. Hey, sick shout out again. Summer skates. I got these here. These things are unbelievable. That's what you're getting when you win. WHR first goal. Be sure to use that hashtag all the time. All right, Adam, Canada's 3-0 at this. I mean, it's been a cakewalk. They really haven't faced too many troubles. Even Slovakia, Levi had to make 3, 4, maybe 5 actual tough saves by his standards. They weren't really tested at all. So give me the good, bad, and ugly right now if you can pick out 3 things for Canada.
I think the good is their their defense. Like, it's no secret that Byram and Drysdale is the top pair and can do it all. I really like the Harley Schneider pairing too. Schneider got suspended for that one game, but I think him and Harley were really good. I don't know, the bad. Levi, he's played good. He looks fine. It's just like you don't know, right? Like he's played good, his numbers are good. You just don't know really what he is until he gets more than 20 shots a game, because I don't think he's even hit that yet. Maybe not even 15, I don't know. I'd say another bad thing. I'm struggling to see who this team's best forward is still. Like Cousins, he has 9 points, but 6 were against Germany, and I think end to end, he's probably the best player on the team, but offensively, still not super creative. The power play just hasn't looked right for the first how many times they got out there. A lot of standing around stationary. They took 3 offensive zone penalties yesterday against Switzerland, which isn't great also. So I think I'm still struggling to see who their best player is up front, because you look at a team like the States, like it's clearly Trevor Zegras. You look at a team like Sweden, it's clearly Lucas Raymond. Finland, Anton Lundell. So a lot of these guys, they have their one go-to guy, but I don't think I see that with Canada yet. I think Newhook's probably their most creative guy, but he isn't really, I mean, playing like first unit power play or anything. So it's tough to see their go-to guy right now.
I would agree with that. I think that's all fair. I mean, my quick good, bad, ugly, I think good's got to be Devin Levi. I mean, you get a couple of strong performances out of him. I'm not going to say great or perfect, but they're good performances out of him. I know he hasn't been tested a ton, but yet again, if he's going to be their guy, if they're going to roll with him, if they're that confident in him, that's good on my behalf, because everything we were talking about before this tournament is who's going to play goal, who's going to be their guy, who's like, are they going to be having to roll through 3 guys? Well, looks like they found one guy they're going to stick with, and he's been pretty damn good up until this point. The bad, I'm not going to say. I'll go with the ugly first, and that's been their power play. I think their power play has been very poor. It's been ugly. It has. And I mean, you're playing against 3 of the worst teams in this tournament, and you've had a ugly power play. That's not a good look by any means. And the bad, I would say the bad is almost, I get it, they got an early start against Switzerland, but I still think it's their starts. I don't think, we were hoping that Canada could find an energy line in this tournament. And I get it, it's not the days of Braden Shen, Mark Stone, Michael Furlan, Jordan Tutu anymore, but you need that energy line. You need one line who's running around, buzzing around, bringing the team energy early. Doesn't matter who you're playing. And right now, I haven't seen enough out of anyone to really give them that energy line. And you need that, because if you come out flat or a little lackluster against a team like even Finland, you're going to be down quick. You can't do that against a team like Russia, USA, or Sweden, or, you're going to be packing very soon. So that's my 3. Devin Levi, I guess we kind of already gave our thoughts on him. Derek O'Brien coming up here in about 10 minutes time to talk Czech Republic. Let's talk Quinton Byfield for a second here, because the people of Twitter are so annoying. Everyone, I mean, like, Adam, you rip on Byfield a little bit too, but he's got 7 points in 3 games, but he hasn't been on for a goal against yet, and he still is an 18-year-old, correct? He's got 1 more year at this tournament. So I get it. He hasn't been spectacular. He hasn't been this superstar that some may pump his tires to be, but he certainly hasn't been bad. It's not like you can be like, oh, he's the worst player on Canada. He just really hasn't ripped it up per se.
Yeah, and it's funny, you look at the start of the tournament and they go, oh, they got these 3 horses down the middle with Doc, Cousins, and Byfield, and then Doc gets hurt, Cousins is playing on the wing, and Byfield just kind of had a so-so start. And I think the first couple of games, and especially in the pre-tournament, he focused so much on running guys over and trying to be this big physical presence that he almost seemed to be like forgetting about the puck a little bit, where he wasn't really controlling the puck and making plays. Like he had 80 some points in 40 some games in the O last year. So I didn't think he was really focused on the puck. And then yesterday, gets a couple bounces, makes a couple nice passes on the first and second goals. So that's a good sign for Canada. I still think he needs more. There was a play yesterday, he could have had a break when he just missed the puck completely. So that wasn't great. But just to go back to Canada's starts, like, I agree completely. Yesterday, 5 minutes in, they look like they're going to win, score 5 in the first period. And then eventually it's just, they kind of fall back. And it happened against Slovakia too, where I think they're out shooting them 7-1. And then eventually the shots were like 17-17 or something like that. So they haven't been super stellar, and they kind of score in bunches where they'll score 3 and then you won't see anybody for a half hour, and then they'll score a couple more, and then, but I still think they're looking for more from Byfield, but it's hard to judge in games like this.
Nice voice crack. We won't mention that. Any other thoughts on Team Canada before we move along down the food chain?
Yeah, I guess their tournament starts now. They seem to have got some chemistry. Yeah, well, their chemistry seems to be closer. I still don't understand the Holloway Cousins. I think it's McMichael line where Holloway and Cousins are kind of power forwards and McMichael's this playmaker. So I'm not getting that. I think they need a little more balance throughout, and I think Tomasino needs to play way more. Like, what's he play 20 minutes and he has 4 goals or something like that. So
he can buzz out there. I mean, we never really watch him too much, right? He's an Eastern guy, but he's been pretty impressive. I'll give him a little bit of credit for that. Let's move along, though. Adam Urbantrout, Cody Jansen with here, World Hockey Report Live. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram at World Hockey RPT, Facebook, World Hockey Report. Team USA, they open the tournament, they lose to Russia. Now, I know this was like a week ago now, but I just got to get your quick thoughts on this, Adam, because from my opinion, USA was way overmatched. This wasn't as close of a game as it was made out to be. I mean, Askarov probably wants a few of those back. But from USA and from all I've seen, this is a product of something I've been talking about for a long time, and that's college hockey's way too watered down. It's a joke now. There's way too many D1 teams. They're not playing enough competitive games. So when you go, oh, these guys are ripping up college hockey, these guys are college hockey studs, it doesn't matter because college hockey is as watered down as it comes right now. There's too many teams. They're not playing that high level of competition. And that's why the Russians who play against men who play in better leagues were clearly the better team.
Yeah, the States, their first game was just horrible, I thought, from a lot of different perspectives. Like the first period, Spencer Knight plays the puck into his defenseman's feet and allows the next goal, and he should have stopped at that point, but he decided to keep going, and sure enough, he got yanked. And I mean, Zegers has been really good probably the last period of the Russia game, and then the last 2 games. He's been really good, but Caulfield still 2 assists only, Turcotte 3 assists only. Like they're getting more from guys like Bobby Brink and Berard and some of those guys. So I still think they're looking for more. Like I mean, one of my buddies, he goes to school down in the States. He's still saying, yeah, all these skilled guys, they're just wait till they go and gets tough, they'll disappear. And sure enough, their first game against Russia, it's a little harder game, and they weren't good. So I'm still waiting to see that. Like this team flamed out in the quarters last year, so we'll have to see.
Moving along to Sweden here. They're still looking good. They got their 54-game round-robin win streak. I'm not going to give them any time. I don't want to talk about Sweden. It's Swedes. We'll pass on that one. Okay.
Broberg looked good, though. In the one game he played, he looked good.
Broberg? Oh, yeah, no, Broberg's sick. But, like, yet again, that's a man playing against guys. He's clearly one of the – I would argue he's one of the best defensemen here, if not the best. Annafeld's pads look like absolute shit. I mean, not even a
shade, yeah.
Yeah, that's like what is Bauer hockey doing? Can we talk about Bauer hockey for a second? How pathetic is it that they didn't make custom skates for Austria? And I want to say it was
and like half. Well, no, I think however it works, I think it was whoever they could tell was like a player like going somewhere, they would give them the skates. But anybody who was like 3rd or 4th line on like Switzerland or something or Sweden, they're not getting the skates. Like
they gave everyone skates. They just gave them the option to wear them.
Okay.
So that's how it was for those teams. But they didn't make skates for those bottom teams. Like I mean, that's such a piss poor move. Like, imagine how much money those teams spend on Bauer gear, those countries, those players, like in their lifetime. Like when I say millions, it's got to be that. Bauer gear is expensive to begin with. And now they're the biggest sponsor of this tournament, and they can't spare 20 pairs of skates. What is that? I mean, skates are like $1,000 a pair, right? So you're looking at 20 grand right there. 2 teams, that's 40 grand.
And they're just feeding, Hockey Canada and USA Hockey all these sticks and undergear and track jackets and whatever. So
man, it's a joke. It's embarrassing. It's such. I mean, Bauer. It's like rip off.
Come on.
Rip off. That's a joke in my opinion. Okay, Podkolzin. Quickly on Podkolzin, your take on him. Vancouver Canucks fans are exploding right now. I don't know what they expected. Did they think he was going to lead the team in the tournament in scoring? Like they clearly haven't watched enough of Podkolzin to begin with, where they just have an opinion on him based on a couple of highlights. But like, I don't know. He's a good player. He's going to be a good third line, maybe second line guy. But it's not like he's going to be Daniel Sedin.
No, and that's the like I had that tweet yesterday because somebody went crazy that he was a third guy back and he picked up the high guy and then he blocked a shot and then he poke checked it away from a 16-year-old on Austria and they're just, this is what he can do. This is Podkolzin. And I sent out that tweet of like, I think it's like one of those Ellen reactions where she says everybody's getting like a TV and they go crazy. And that's Canucks fans when Podkolzin does something like ever. Because I watched that and I think I've seen all his games where that Czech Republic game, he did not touch the puck once. And then the only time I really heard him, I guess he did something the first, and then like near the end of the second, Ray's like, it's kind of time for Podkolzin or Chinnikov to start doing something. I was like, yeah. And then I don't know, like, yeah, he's a fine player. He does some good things, but he just has really had no impact against good teams in this tournament. And like, yeah, he's third liner, second liner at best in the NHL. And I kind of said this to a guy on Twitter. He goes, oh yeah, Holloway and Podkolzin, like these role players are doing good. I was like, yeah, that's fine, but you don't take a role player 10th overall like Vancouver did with Podkolzin. He's like, yeah, like this guy could be Zach Hyman in the NHL, and I don't even think Zach Hyman got drafted, but we're gonna take him 10th overall in a draft. So I think I'm a proponent of taking a guy with a lot of skill and more of a home run pick like what Columbus did with that Chinnikov guy who looks fine.
Unless it's Amarov, because you just put the Leafs on anything.
Like they look like they could be a boom or bust, but I'd rather that than taking a guy who you could get for a 4th round pick at the trade deadline.
Okay, we gotta move along here quickly. Stützle, Peterka, they're obviously elite, and I don't even think it's up for debate. I mean, Stützle's the best player here. Yeah. Yeah, easy. I don't know. Like everyone's like, oh, like you think he's good because he's playing with terrible players. That's why he's so good. He's he's doing it all himself. He's making numbers, like all those stats people, they're like, oh, he's breaking all these records that have never been touched since 10, 20 years for like puck possession, clean breakouts, zone entries, all these things. He is elite out of elite, and he's doing it with, I mean, JJ Peterka is a great player, and he's going to be a solid second line NHLer. I think he's close to a Nugent Hopkins in my opinion, his ceiling. But Stützle's doing this by himself for the most part, and he is unbelievable. I mean, chalk the money on him for a Calder. That's it's without question here. We're gonna talk Czech Republic. Yeah, go for it.
The craziest thing about Stützle is he didn't play before the tournament, right? He got wrist surgery and then he's playing 26 and 31 minutes. And just to compare, like
he was shoot a puck for 4 months.
Yeah, he was the 3rd overall pick, and Rossi was the 9th. And I mean, Rossi's team is obviously worse, but he doesn't have a point this far, and Stützle has I think 4 goals and an assist. So, like, just to compare, like, how much better he is than like other guys in the draft is insane.
And here's a big thing is I always take a little bit of what do they do when the puck's on their stick? Are they panicking? Are they trying to move it, or can they actually make plays themselves? Stützle can do it himself. Rossi doesn't have that ability. Byfield hasn't even shown he's got that ability to make a crazy rush. Stützle does it once a period. It's not even fair at this point. He
doesn't have a pulse out there.
Okay, quickly, we are going to talk Czechs here in a minute. We got to bench someone this week, though. We've kind of slacked on this segment here. We're going to bench someone for Cocoa Vodka, Cocoa Rum. I'm benching Scott Wheeler because if you think Trevor Zegras is the best player at this tournament, I mean, take his seat.
I'd bench that guy every week. I don't know, just whoever the Canucks fan tweeted that video about Podkolzin against Austria in the defensive zone, I think you got to bench him.
Okay, I got a second grocery stick here as well. And I mean, I hate to rip on people, but there was that girl on Twitter who tweeted out called Austria Australia. That was funny. That's some funny shit right there. All right, let's take a quick break here, commercial break for 12-ounce sports. When we come back, Derek O'Ryan coming to talk Czech Republic IIHF. This is World Hockey Report on 12-ounce sports, Zingo TV channel 761.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money, and we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. But challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.
We'll Talk Report Live. Cody Jansen with you, Adam Urban Trout as well. It's time to get to our big guest of the day. Brought to you by Verbero Hockey, the absolute best in hockey gear, custom jerseys, whatever you need. Shoot us a message. Use the promo code JANZ, J-A-N-Z. Get yourself hooked up for the season. That is going to come. It's going to come. Trust me here right now. All right. We said we're going to talk some Czech Republic here. Talk some World Juniors. We've already been crushing that out for 20 minutes. Now we got the man himself, Derek O'Brien, AAHF writer, editor on the show right now. Derek, how's it going?
Not too bad. I mean, as good as things can go these days.
That's fair. That's fair. It is tough times. It's weird times for everyone. I want to get your thoughts, though, on this Czech team as a whole, because from my perspective, they played one amazing game and two very lackluster games, if I can put it like that.
Well, sure, but well, first of all, if you look at their three games so far, though, I think they had good first periods in all three games. I think the way they started, if you remember the Sweden game, I think it was 1-1 at the end of the first period. The USA was scoreless after the first period. Those two games, though, that they ended up losing by big scores, they fell behind in the second period, and then things kind of unraveled quickly. Against Russia, they were back on their heels there in that second period, and then they got a goal against the flow of play, and that's really what turned the game in their favor. And then, when they had the lead in the third period, it was just all hands on deck, just blocking shots like crazy. And yeah, it was, I'm sure you would agree in that game, they won that game purely on will. But against those other teams, I mean, they just didn't have once they fell behind, they just didn't have the guns to go with those teams once they got going,
Derek, speaking of the guns, who would you say has been the Czechs' best player so far? Is it Teplý, Míšák thing? Because I think Teplý's been good, but both are kind of been inconsistent so far.
They have. They got on the sheet in that first game. They got that first goal on the power play against Sweden, and they also were playing there on the power play with Jaromír Pytlík, and unfortunately, he's been. That's the only game he's played so far. He's had a bit of an injury that game. I think they hope to get him back. That was a blow. So, yeah, they're a bit. Teplý and Míšák, of course, are both very good players. They're a little thin on high-end talent, though, which is why they have a bit of trouble scoring. If you've only got a few guys that can score, it's a bit easier for teams to shut you down.
Why do you think that the Czechs play systematically good and no one else? I mean, it's something that happens every year, it seems now.
That's true. Well, I mean, as you said, it kind of goes back through history. I mean, historically, all their big hockey wins have come against going back to the Soviet Union. A lot of those games were against a political backdrop and that was kind of the way they could show up. Those guys was to beat them in the sporting arena on the ice. Going back to the 60s, the 70s, those were always big games, and so I think that's just sort of what they've grown up with. Is that's a big game that everybody's up with against Russia.
Derek, I want to ask you about this David Jurasek on the back end for Czechs. I don't know the last time there's really been a stud Czech defenseman. Zabora won in the first round, but he hasn't really panned out yet. But this Jurasek, I think he's 16. He's 6'3", 175, right-handed shot, and Ray's been singing his praises out there.
Oh, yeah. They've got the two young guys. They've got the two 16-year-olds. Actually, they've got Jiříček and they've also got Svozil, and they've both been playing regularly. I know Svozil is supposed to be a first-round pick next year, and Jiříček is not even eligible until 2023. So, yeah, I don't know. The last time there's been a Czech defenseman of that size, I don't want to go back to Roman Hamrlik, but it's been. You're right. Most of the better Czech players the last few years have been forwards or goalies. They've actually had not many problems in goal, but it's definitely bodes well for their future to see a couple of good 16-year-old defensemen like that.
Now you've covered Czech hockey for long enough, and I mean this is maybe a one-off here, but I feel like they kind of they play the favorite card. I mean, going with Malik over Parik and net, I feel like was, maybe throwing him a bone because of his hockey bloodlines. Like, I don't know how camp went, but from a perspective of going off their play last year, there's no way Parik shouldn't be starting all four here. I get it. There's, some rest, but is he not clearly the better goaltender? I get it. The Americans are a great team. They're going to fill the net, but I mean, he's got to be your go-to guy, doesn't he?
At this point, probably yes, and that became clear in that game against Russia. I think that was a team win. I don't think they won in that game all because of goaltending, but he was definitely solid in that game. And I was a bit surprised when I heard a few days before the start of the tournament that they said that Malik was going to be their starter. I know he plays in Sault Ste. Marie. I spoke with him in the summer about that. They had three goalies in camp, which they had Malik, Parik, and Bednar, and those were clearly going to be their three goalies, and it was just a matter of who was going to be the starter. I think Parik, as you said, had a bit of an edge at being the starter, and I would say he's probably going to be the guy that they go to from now on. Their next game is against Austria. Hard to say who they'll put in that game. They should win regardless, but in the quarterfinal game, it would be hard to believe it's not Parik in that game.
Derek, do you think this Czechs team is capable of an upset? I mean, if they beat Austria, and I think if Russia loses to Sweden, they'd be a 3 seed versus likely Canada or Finland. Do you think they're capable of getting to the semis this year?
Capable, yes, but it would be an upset. If they do beat those teams, either of those teams, it would really have to be done the same way that they beat Russia. They would have to just kind of grind out a victory, play back, play a bit of a rope-a-dope style. And the thing about them is they're a team like if Canada or Finland play them in the quarterfinals, they're a team they're going to have to do their homework against them because they know they're just going to block a lot of shots. And they do have some of the guys like Mishak and Teply who, if they get a chance going the other way, they can score goals. So they're definitely not a pushover by any means in the quarterfinals, but yeah, it would be an upset if they beat either of those teams.
They're definitely an opportunistic team, and I mean, it showed with the goal scoring against Russia. I got one more hockey question for you, though. Yeah. Just quickly, I mean, is there any underrated players on that team who you think maybe isn't getting enough recognition? Or it doesn't even have to be the Czech team, honestly, Derek. I mean, the whole tournament, is there one player who you really like who you think maybe isn't getting the recognition?
Well, the Czech team, as I said, they had a lot of top-end talent, and I thought they were thin in the bottom six forward, and I thought their one win was an entire team effort, so it was hard to pick anybody that really stood out. I mentioned earlier the loss of Pitlick, and one guy that really stepped up for them was a a smaller forward called David Vitok. It's a guy I know of because he's played in Sparta in Prague the last couple of years, so I've seen a bit of him. He's only 5'9", but they moved him from wing to center, and he actually was really strong in that Russian game on faceoffs, which I thought was a big thing for them. Just a little thing, but it's just little things like that can make the difference. A guy on the team that I've always been big on, who I was a bit surprised didn't get drafted last year, was a defenseman, Szymon Kubicek. You guys out there, if you follow the WHL, you might have seen him play for the Seattle Thunderbirds. Yeah, he's a guy who I think is good on defense there. I know the coach, Karel Mlejnek, the defensive pair that he really leans on is Radek Kucherik and Michal Krutil. They're both out there a whole lot for the Czech team. But yeah, overall, it's mostly about the team game with them. I don't know if it's really about any single player stepping up and doing too much more than they're expected to.
Adam, you got any more hockey questions for him, or can we dive into life in Prague?
I'm curious about the Czech Republic. Like every single person who's been to Prague, they always say it's just like this unbelievable city. Can you confirm that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess if it wasn't true, I wouldn't have stayed there. But right now is not the best time to go there, obviously. But yeah, the whole past year has been. It was actually kind of, I got to admit, it was kind of nice without so many tourists this past summer, because if there's one problem, it suffers maybe a little bit from over tourism, which I guess that's the thing that happens when word gets out about a place. But yeah, it's really great to, as far as being in the center of Europe. So it's good for traveling to other places, and also, hey, there's hockey there too, so that's another good reason to like it, I think.
Now, Derek, I don't know your relationship status, if you're married, single, whatever, but can you confirm? I mean, there's tens or there's ones. It's basically Moscow 2.0. I mean, there's some of the best looking people in the world, and then there's also a bottom end.
Oh yeah, I can confirm that. Yeah, it's not the only country, because frankly, there are other countries in the neighborhood, like Slovakia, or you go further like Poland, even some places that people don't go visit very often, like Belarus. You mentioned Russia, Moscow, but yeah, that's definitely that. Let's say that Slavic looking person, let's say, is definitely something to look out for.
Have you ever been to Most or Czech Republic or Česká Lípa?
Česká Lípa, yeah, I've been there. And did you say Most?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you know these places?
I might have spent some time there playing hockey.
Okay. Yeah,
unfortunately, I'm not gonna brag about it or anything. They're interesting places, but it was a cool time. I enjoyed my time in Czech Republic more so for the fact of tourism. Not that, yeah. I mean, no one on my team spoke English, and I'm pretty sure they hated me, but it was cool.
Yeah, what was that in the second league, or?
Yeah, it was WSM at the time.
Okay, that's the first league then, what they call the second tier of.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that league, that's an interesting league, because there's some fairly high end teams and some teams that are almost.
How bad amateur. Is Kidon? How bad is Kidon? I mean, this is okay. Maybe you don't have to rip them on this, but like this is my personal opinion. Is like worst place to live in that second league or first league. Plus, the team is terrible.
Yeah, there's a big talent difference in that league. You get some of the higher teams, you get like Kladno. You get teams that are pretty much professional teams, or Slavia Prague in that league. And then you get some teams that are playing, almost amateur. That reminds me of a couple of years ago. It was a big deal when Jaromir Jagr, you've probably heard of him. he left the Calgary Flames and came back to Kladno, and it became a big deal when he was making his return to Czech hockey. And his team, the team he's owner of, Kladno, they're in that league, and his first game scheduled back against this team was some place, Benátky nad Jezero, which maybe you remember that team. They play in this almost like community rink that can fit a few hundred people in there, and this game has become a national event. I'm calling them, asking how to get media accreditation. They're telling me, well, we've never had any media accreditation before, so we don't know. They ended up having to move this game to Liberec in an arena, 7,000 people, because it was just such an unbelievably big event, but because it also became a big event because Peter Nedved came back to play in that game as well. So suddenly this nothing game in this nothing meaningless town becomes a big national event, and it kind of showed how that league is. You get some big teams and you get some small teams. But getting back to what you said earlier, yeah, there's some really. It's a big difference. It can be a big difference between Prague and some of the smaller towns. Whereas at Prague, you can probably get by speaking English. You can probably say, if you played in Most, you might not have encountered so much English on the streets.
No, not at all. Derek, I really appreciate you taking the time. Thanks for hopping on this morning. Hope you enjoy the rest of the tournament there.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, it's World Hockey Report Live. Cody Jansen, Adam Ermintrout with you. We're going to be back after the break. Let's talk some NHL. It's about that time of year, 11:39 local here, 12-ounce sports, Zingo TV, channel 761.
Welcome to MyBookie. You're ready to create an account and start making money. And we're here to help. And remember, you can get a bonus of up to $1,000 on your first deposit. Now you're ready to bet. Just go to mybookie.ag, visit the sportsbook, click on your bet, and input the amount you want to risk or win in the bet slip. Yes, it's that easy. Just remember, at MyBookie, you play, you win, you get paid.
Hey guys, Glenn Metropolitan here with Rivero Hockey, NHL alumni, 22 years professional hockey. I'm here to talk about the Merc 350, the lightest stick on the market. I've been using it for a couple months now. So impressed by the balance, the weight of it. The blade is very stiff, great feel, low kick point on the shaft. Consistency is amazing. Comparing it to all my other sticks that I use in my pro career, this would be one that I'd be very confident with going into a game. Give it a shot if you get a chance. Take care.
At Amazon, we're pretty good at getting things done. We're pretty good at solving problems. COVID-19 is the biggest challenge we've had to face. But challenges are what motivate us. Like flying masks to our employees around the world. We're doing everything we can to get you what you need, and doing everything we can to keep our people safe. I'm former Navy pilot Sarah Rhodes, and I'm proud to lead our Amazon Air network.
Alrighty, we're going to dive into the NHL. We've talked enough World Juniors. Huge thanks, Derek O'Brien, once again, for coming on the show. We're going to wrap this thing up here on 12-ounce sports, Zingo TV, channel 761, with a bunch of NHL news. Adam, I'm just going to rip through it here. I mean, you can give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. You can chime in. I really don't care. I just got a ton of stuff to go through here. I mean, this seems a while ago now, but we kind of got the Kirby Dach news. He's going to be out 4 to 5 months of wrist surgery. Sounds like it went successful. Good to hear that. Obviously, it sucks, but
Taves too, yeah.
Geez, are you gonna let me finish or what?
Well,
that's my next note. I mean, Jonathan Toews, he's not going to start the season. Came out, said he's been having some medical issues. Credit to him. Hey, you got to take out. You only get one body. You got to take care of yourself. He's done a lot in his career. Kind of comes about that time where, yeah, I mean, health priority comes first. If you're going to have to be playing in an unconventional season, which I'm not going to say is going to suck for the players, but it's not going to be a normal year. There's no better year to take off. Say, hey, I'm just going to get myself right. And then if we're going to be good, if I'm going to feel good, I'll play next year when things are hopefully back to normal.
I want to talk about Chicago then, because if
Patty Kane's got to get traded.
Well, I just don't get it, because if Doc's hurt and Taves is out, realistically, it sounds like you could LTIR Taves with this news, but why couldn't they sign like Eric Howler and Marcus Granlund? Because Stan Bowman was just adamant that they're not rebuilding and that they're retooling. But if you're without your 1 and 2 centers and you claim you're not rebuilding, maybe you'd go and sign a guy who's a 1 or 2 center, which doesn't make sense. And I mean, obviously, like, it sucks that these guys are injured and have these medical issues, I guess, in Taves' case. But like, if you're adamant about being competitive, then go and sign someone and be competitive, like you've been saying. Don't just say, like, who's their second line center now? Like, I don't even know, Freddie Marcus Highmore or whatever his name is. So I really don't get it, especially, those are two, you're not going to replace them, but at least, even it out a bit.
That's fair, and I think they're in full-out rebuild mode. I think we don't need to kid ourselves here. That is one pretty bad hockey team. And sadly enough, they beat the Oilers last year. But yet again, look at their goaltending going into this season as well. It's not a pretty sight there. You might as well at this point trade Patrick Kane while he's got some value. I get it. You're going to piss off the fans a little bit. But Stan knows if you're going into full rebuild, you got to do it the right way. I mean, they are going to be so bad. You got Alex Nylander out as well. It's not a good look for them. Okay, moving along. Couple of retirings. Is that a word? Retirings? I think it's
retirements.
Retirements. There you go.
Yeah,
English guy there, school guy. Ryan Callahan, great career by him. Silver medal, 2010 Olympics. Remember that one? And Derek England as well. Vegas guy. Is he not one of the first players you think of when you think of the Vegas Golden Knights? Like, I'm not going to say like he's bigger than Mark Stone or Marc-Andre Fleury, but like just
his speech.
Yeah,
his speech,
but his impact in that first game. I'm pretty sure he scored in that first game. He scored either the first or second goal too. Like, he was just that grit guy. Even when they make the run in the playoffs, he's that guy who'll kind of do anything. He'll fight. I mean, he played for the Flames. Maybe that's also why he's on my mind. You remember when he beat the wheels off Lucic?
Yeah, that's a good tilt.
Yeah, great guy there. But I mean, congrats to them. Awesome careers. England grinded it out in the Coast and the AHL before. Callahan, I think he played 700-800 games in the NHL. That's impressive.
12. Callahan's funny because I heard a story or whatever that he'd be in Tampa and like it was pretty obvious he was never gonna play. They're just like, I heard guys would be chirping this, yeah, Callie, like what injury are you gonna get this year type thing, like just like so he could LTIR it or whatever and still get his money and not be against the cap.
That's funny. Yeah, no, he battled some injuries. It sucks. It's tough, but
you can only play that way for so long. So
how much
good
money?
For him.
Yeah, he blocked a ton of shots. Damn good defenseman right there. Well, I bet you probably made like 50 sheets.
Well, Callahan was a forward actually, but yeah, 50.
Oh.
You're like damn good defenseman.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to think. I'm like, what did I say? Oh, I'm getting them confused. We're talking England. We're talking Callahan. Shut up. Okay, defenseman. It's also on the list here. Oilers signed Slater Cuckoo, Ethan Bear as well. Ethan Bear's a nice team-friendly deal. Slater Cuckoo, I thought he had a great playoffs against the Oilers. I kind of like the addition. It's a depth guy. He's a versatile guy, and you're going to need these players because, in this odd sprint of a season, you're going to get more injuries than before. And I guarantee it, some teams are going to run into COVID problems. That's just the matter of fact with the world we're living in.
Yeah, you need players and you need competition too. Like if you're the Oilers and Caleb Jones, I don't think he's really played a full NHL season yet. So you want to bring in a guy to challenge him and kind of push him, because if you're just giving these young guys spots, they might get a little complacent and not really have anybody pushing them or have any worry. So it's good. And I mean, Slater Cuckoo's probably better than Chris Russell at this point too. So pushes them down, evens everyone out a bit. And the Bear signing, it's good too, right? He's playing 20-some minutes a game last game, and top 4 defenseman for $2 million a year is pretty good.
Yeah, I think he knew he had to clean up some things on his game, and once he did that, I really think he is going to be an impact guy. And if you got a $2 million D-man playing top 4, arguably top pairing minutes, it's a pretty damn good deal right there. That's something Ethan Bear can do. They also brought in a couple other forwards on PTOs. I think it's more so like just to push your like fourth line guys like Jujhar Khaira. Like are you gonna do something this year or not? I mean, Reed Wilkins said it perfectly last night on Inside Sports, kind of talking about it. Is you need these guys to be pushed. You can't have your taxi squad being guys who have no chance at playing in the league. You need guys who are going to push you night in, night out. Moving along, or NHL news, Hoffman to the Blues. I mean, it sounds like it's going to be a 1-year deal, about $4.5 million. Hey, I mean, they needed some score, and you got guys who are out. You got to replace some guys. Nice addition for him. I mean, let's hope he doesn't break the dressing room or anything, but probably shouldn't be saying that. But no, I mean, like, hey, it's a nice addition for the Blues. He's a guy who's probably going to score 30 in a shortened season, I think.
Yeah, 25, yeah, probably. I mean,
25, 30.
He can score. I mean, he doesn't really do much else, but he can score. I'll never forget that McDavid goal in Ottawa where it was just Hoffman's defensive game to a T, where he was just standing still, kind of swung his stick and just like spun around, and just McDavid went in and scored. But he can score. That's the best way, and goals get paid, and he's probably a $6 million player in what if the cap went up to 84 like it was supposed to, but really no risk, 1-year deal.
Now, speaking of goals, I mean, Corey Perry in the playoff tucked a few of his own. He's going to the Habs. What a friendly deal for them. I mean, for a veteran like that, I feel like, coming back to Canada is a huge thing for him, but also playing on a team that he must feel has a chance to make the playoffs this year. He's not going to a bottom end team to get rich. He's going to a team who he obviously feels comfortable with Carey Price. He likes their defense. He likes their additions. And that's a damn good depth guy right there. Corey Perry proved it in playoffs. He's still got it. When those games matter, Corey Perry's still there to play.
Yeah, especially in a shortened season too, where maybe he's not playing every game. Maybe he's kind of not playing a ton every game, but come playoffs, you need a guy like him. And to pair him with Josh Anderson and Tyler Toffoli, Montreal's kind of revamped the right side. So they got better, but you never win the off season. Or you usually don't win the cup if you win the off season. So we'll have to see.
Well, I'm not saying they won the off season here. Last one, step on to the Sens for a second rounder, I believe it was. Interesting fetch right there. But Adam, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I kind of like some of these moves the Sens have been making. Like, I think that, I kind of thought of them as maybe a 10-win team to now they could win 15-20 in that Canadian division and at least make it a little more interesting. Like, I think that they added some pieces that'll help them win hockey games or at least stay close, takes them to overtime. I really do.
Yeah, they also got Cedric Paquette and Braden Coburn, I think, for Tampa, and kind of like a cap dump move. But yeah, like kind of like we just said with Edmonton, where you get Slater Cuckoo, you push down Caleb Jones, and in Ottawa you get Derek Stepan, and you push down Logan Brown or Josh Norris, who won, I think he was AHL MVP last year, Rookie of the Year, something like that. So push guys like that down also probably takes the load off Stützle's shoulders. You can't play these young guys 22 minutes a game, and that's where you get a veteran like Stepan. And
Stützle played 31 minutes the other night against Slovakia. That's wild.
Wow. 31 minutes against Slovakia is different than 31 against the Leafs. But no, they're good trades, and Ottawa has like hundreds of draft picks. They can you can't draft everybody, so it's a good move.
That's fair. Okay, any other NHL?
Stepan, no offense to Ottawa, but that sucks for Stepan going from New York City to Arizona to Canada or whatever. Yeah,
Canada.
That's where their rank is. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got you. I thought
it's like the Warman of Ottawa. Like it's like kind of like outskirts. I think.
Warman of Ottawa. That's a throwback there. Any other NHL news you wanted to touch on, or can we just rip through a few other points?
Well, there's a cool offside rule. Did we talk about that last week?
Yes, we definitely.
Yeah, okay. Damn it, no.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Do you remember you were just talking about how it's going to create more offense?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, okay, yeah, good thing you're paying attention. Okay, moving along, let's touch on some lighter points here. Well, some lighter points at least. I thought this was interesting. I mean, you sent out a tweet at Don Cherry, I forget what it was, but he had the biggest new podcast in Canada this year. I was a little shocked to see that, but yeah, he had it was the new podcast, so it doesn't count like Spit and Chicklets and those ones, but for like 2020, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, hey, kind of adapt or die, and Don Cherry with the bringing back the grapevine or whatever it's even called. I forget. I've listened to a few, but like I'm a massive Don Cherry guy. Like I'm not listening to every single second, but I thought that was cool.
No, I've yet to listen. I guess people still want to hear what he has to say, whether it's just for like nostalgia or something like that, where they're not actually listeting to Don
You were
Cherry
never a Don guy, or like not. You were never, but like you just in the past few years, you.
I'd watch, but like I mean, his shtick got a little old for me for sure. I really like Brian. I really like Brian Burke. Actually, I'll give him a lot of credit. Where people are just kind of saying that Brian Burke's there to replace Don Cherry, and I mean, I hope so. He does a really good job. He knows what he's talking about. He's entertaining to listen to. So, yeah, Don Cherry's cool, but I mean,
Burke's great too. But like, I mean, you got to think about it from Don Cherry's perspective. After 40 years, how are you supposed to keep reinventing the wheel here? Like the same thing. Like take Brian Burke.
Like good walking in.
Yeah, like take Brian Burke in 40 years. I mean, we're going to be saying the same thing. We're probably sick of him, right? That's just how it is.
Exactly. I think we need to touch on this a bit. The World Juniors, like every game that's 10-0, you got the Twitter people going, "Oh, this tournament should be 6 teams."
And we ran out of time. We talked too much about that. Okay, let's but like yet again, I solved the wheel and people still keep asking this question. I mean, I invented the best format ever. There's no question about it. By the way. What?
My mom was like, "Oh, how is that fair that they're just gonna go 0-4 and make the quarterfinals?" I was
okay, like, yeah, well, Mr. Mama Ermintrout here. Let me tell you a story. This is the best seeding ever, and I mean this is why I'm a genius here. Group A, you got all the best teams, obviously. And so they're going to play each other, and they're all going to make the quarterfinals. So now you got great round robin games. Like your worst round robin game is going to be a team playing Finland, likely. Or so, you're going to get great round robin games in that Group A. I got Canada, Russia, Sweden, Finland. You rank them 1 through 5 for the quarters. Now in Group B as well, these teams are competing for quarterfinal spots, but you got more realistic games. So you got your Czech, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Slovakia. Every time they play each other, it's going to be a damn good round robin game, right? Czechs, and then you take the top 3 from that, chuck them in the quarterfinals. You still got a chance for an upset, but it takes away that 2-3 blowouts per team in the round robin. I mean, I solved the World Juniors problems. IHF, give us a call. Hit us up. World Hockey RPT on Twitter. I just solved it for you.
Or another way, I think I said this yesterday, was Austria, they win Division 1A last year. They lose their top 2 players because they age out for this year, and then they just don't have them. So why not do like the Division 1 World Juniors in the summer or something like that, so they can actually send that team in December? Because I don't think having that team play in November makes sense, because if you're the Ottawa 67s, you have Marco Rossi, you're just going to lose him for 3 months off your team. Like, I don't think that's realistic, but like have it in July or something. It's not like there's big TV revenue with it anyways.
Why not have it before Christmas? Why not have it in, mid-December? And then all of a sudden those teams, if you're all together already, maybe you get to spend Christmas together, whatever, but now they're going to be a little bit fresher. And so now you got a team like Austria who has got some chemistry already. They're clicking a little bit. They've played some games. And now doesn't that give them a little bit of a head start when they're already behind in just the players they can choose from? I don't know. IHF is cheap, though. I don't think you can hold your breath on them making any reasonable decisions anytime soon.
No, this is classic IHF, where it's just nothing's going to change, so there's no point in talking about it. But
Rene Fassel is just going to keep stroking off Belarus.
You're never gonna take away teams from the tournament, and I said this last year, but it turns out it was stupid. That 16-year-old on Austria, he did some interview about like how much it meant to him and his dad. So like, who cares if they're getting waxed 10-0 every game? Like, it's still like they're never gonna play in Rogers Place again in their lives, probably. So.
But here's the thing about that too, and here's the argument to expand it: is look at March Madness. I mean, biggest tournament in the world. that 1 versus 16 seeds, like on average, it's a 20+ point blowout every single year, and you don't hear them complaining about making it smaller. They made them bigger. They made play-in games. So hey, these blowouts happen, but yet again, if the kids get the experience, that's awesome. One thing, I got to mention, I mean, we brought it up on Twitter, and it's just something that, kind of close to us here in Saskatchewan. Swift Current Broncos bus crashed 34 years ago today. That's a tough one. That's 4 guys who lost their lives too soon. It's an accident. It happens. It's, a day that still needs to be remembered. I mean, you can't forget about it. That's something that affected the hockey world. And, we're here for it. Growing up near Swift Current, it's something that definitely, it impacted the whole community. I mean, it's such a tight community. So did want to remember that one. Adam, we got like 2 minutes here, but I got to ask you about the movie you went to. Is it World War 84? I don't know. I'm
Wonder Woman 84. I don't know.
Okay, well, close enough. But is that the one with Brie Larson?
No. It was like, I don't even know who was in it.
Well, I was going to say, if you're tripping the one with Brie Larson, we got to cut this. But yeah.
No, that girl from Bridesmaids was in. I forget her name.
Not a movie guy.
I don't know. She's in like Bridesmaids and some other movies. So it was fine. It was like it took place in 1984, I think, but it was kind of like they had to show this. I honestly can't even explain. I was watching the Bills game on my phone the whole time.
That's fair.
Bills
Alrighty.
Mafia.
Let's wrap this up. Okay, quick predictions. Canada, Finland tomorrow. Give me a score.
3-1 Canada.
Okay, I'll say 4-2. I think Canada's still got it. I think Finland, I don't like their offense, but Levi's better. New Year's Eve, I guess there's no plans for that. We're going to shut that one down. 2021, everyone, we're going to be back then. Everyone, have a great 2020. Enjoy New Year's Eve. Be safe. And everyone, as always, be kind, be better.